Right, so the Meg or the Megalodon, whatever you'd like to call it here, is it's mainly supposed to be a B movie creature feature where the giant shark attacks. But here's the odd thing: when I went into the film, I kind of had this hope in my mind that that it was kind of going to be like Piranha, You're going to have, a monster come out of the depths of the sea, and it's going to start munching on the humans, and it's going to be like just a, over the top gory slasher, and it's going to be campy, and it's going to mock tropes, and it's going to be absolutely over the top and hilarious. Well, not quite. Here's the problem with this. The problem with the Meg is it can't really decide if it wants to take itself seriously as a killer shark movie or if it wants to go campy. I think it looked like, okay, here's Jaws, and here's Sharknado. We want to come just into the middle here. And that might seem like, okay, there's a decent balance there. You'll get some quips, you'll get some jokes, you'll get like some real horror and like people taking it, earnestly. So it seems more tongue-in-cheek instead of, trying too hard to be campy. But as a result, it just kind of falls in the middle and just kind of becomes an average monster movie that doesn't really make itself well defined by other it doesn't really stick out among the other shark movies. Now, to be fair, yeah, on one level, no, it's not anywhere near as bad as like the Sharktopus or Megalodon versus Sharktopus or whatever Megalodon fought next, they're the series of creature feature horror films that essentially turned into like Godzilla wrestling matches. So yeah, it's not. Obviously it's not going to go. They don't want to go that crazy because they want to have some legitimacy to it. But at the same time, they try to make it. They almost make it too earnestly, like those monster movies from like the 50s, where if you've ever seen like those really cheap creature features, it's mostly just people standing around. They talk in very, very dry expository dialogue of. Oh, the monster did this, and such, and, here's what our research facility does, and here's what we need to take the next steps for, and then occasionally make, like, kind of a goofy line in between there. So you don't get too much character there. Jason Statham plays a undersea rescuer, and he was previously disgraced because, he pulled out of a submarine too early on a rescue mission and ended up leaving someone behind who's dead. But he assures them, like, no, there was a giant monster out there. It killed them all. But they're like, no, we don't believe you, dude. But no, he's the only one who can rescue an underwater research team that are stranded at the bottom when, oh, surprise, surprise, a giant shark attacks them. And he's like, oh, I told you. Well, you want to come and rescue them? I guess. Well, he comes to the rescue there, and of course, he says, like, I don't feel right because I don't want to leave anyone behind. It haunts me. I hate being blamed for stuff like this. But maybe this time he will save everyone. Well, not everyone, not really everyone, because sharks got to eat. Sharks got to eat some people here. We got to have it be a horror film. So, we got to have that horror aspect to it. But the problem with that is, though, here's the thing. Like I said, I initially went into this thinking to be something more like Piranha. Thing is, we really don't get any quality kills, and it didn't dawn on me until about midway through I realized I didn't look at the MPAA rating going into this, and I thought it was going to be like an R. It turns out it's PG-13, and it really comes across as PG-13. Because like a lot of the kills, they're off screen. The monster will eat people whole, mostly, and then like there might be like a severed hand or something like that, but you won't see any like the blood or the gore. You'll hear the chomp, and then it'll be the end of it. But it's kind of interesting when you think about the MPA rating here, because you don't see any humans that are ripped apart and gored, but you will see plenty of sea life get gored, like we just saw there with like the giant the giant octopus being gored there. That was kind of like a big scene there. Another one is there's two whales. There's a mother and daughter whale who get ripped to shreds by this thing, and the actual death of the Megalodon is actually pretty graphic and bloody, and has like tons like little sea creatures just eating it up. It's very gross out stuff. But it makes you wonder, well, why couldn't they do that with some of the more human kills, like go full over the top like Piranha? Well, one reason is that, the most obvious reason is that, you want more of a box office take. And if you release an R-rated horror film in the summer, you're probably not going to get a huge draw. Like Piranha, I don't think did very well. The remake in 2010, I don't think it did very well. So chances are, they're spending a lot of money on this film. They wanted to make a smash, so they want to make it, akin to something like Rampage, where there will be kills, there will be giant monsters destroying stuff, but we won't have any gory kills there. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I've been like spoiled on other shark movies that have gone to that length. But when you have a shark attack at one of the, like they have a shark attack at one of like the most massive and populated beaches on the planet, and the most that the shark will do is he'll chomp on like one or two people, but most of what he'll do is just like bust up boats and then knock off some platforms and then push people into the water. And I gotta mention this too. This is a spoiler too, but I gotta mention this too. This film is playing it so safe that this scene where the dog jumps in there and the shark comes after the dog, and the shark does come after the dog. And there's a scene where we think, oh, the shark is the dog is the first victim of the shark. Turns out it didn't really happen. That dog actually survives somehow. Well, actually, I know how. Through the magic of editing, and because test audiences don't like seeing a dog ripped to shreds. No problem with whales and squids, though. Those things are huge and nasty and disgusting. We don't want to. We eat up all you want, Megalodon. but you eat someone's dog, and then Statham's coming for you. Now, to the film's credit, it is flashy. The special effects of the shark are really cool to look at. The underwater, they find this secret underwater world where, all these new species exist. That stuff's pretty cool to look at. I love some of the, the effects of, like, the water seeping in and cracking and, like, the whole high-tech vessel stuff. All that stuff it looks good and it's fun. But most of the actual, like, fun stuff with, the little quippy lines there, they come manufactured. They rarely feel genuine. In fact, so little of this feels genuine, it's not specifically by some formula or design, that there are several points in the film, I think it was mostly during the second act, where I was kind of raising my eyebrow going, like, wait, where did this come from? The Megalodon they find is in this secret, undiscovered patch of water where wildlife can't get out of, and the Megalodon gets out of there. But then Statham tries to prove a point by saying, look, that ship that was attacked years ago, that was attacked by a Megalodon. But it's like, okay, so there was a separate Megalodon as opposed to the other one that you thought was extinct. So, but then they said, like, oh, it proves myself because I'm not crazy, even though this one is from another territory. But so are there two, or did two come up? Or it's like, I don't know. And then there's other stuff like, especially with the characters, they try to bring in these character arcs that seemingly come out of nowhere. Like, for instance, there's a character here, the oceanographer that Statham has a that Statham and what's her name, the Suyin Zhang is the oceanographer that works on the station. She's played by Li Bingbing, and they have a romantic relationship, and they make it so, they have to force it so perfectly that she's only really attracted to him when she kind of walks in on him coming out of the shower, and then that's kind of like, oh, well, we got a love interest thing going. So that becomes pretty obvious. But what doesn't become obvious is that she's working on this facility with her dad, and there's like a life or death moment when her dad mentions that, oh, I wish I could have been a better father to you. And I'm like, wait, he wasn't a good father? Where did this come from? And a lot of characters will just adopt personalities over time. There's certain aspects that will not be explained in this movie. Like, for instance, Li Bingbing's character has I think like a 9 or 10-year-old daughter who's just kind of wandering around the station in random parts. I'm not even joking. There's a scene where she gets out of a meeting room and her daughter is just randomly in the hallway with like a mess of toys just to be there for no other reasons, just so that she can say goodbye to her daughter. So it's like, I'm going on a mission where I may or may not come back alive. See ya, kid. So there's lots of ridiculous stuff like that. I gotta give it credit, though. If they really are going for that kind of flawed and forgettable B-movie creature feature, they are doing it well. But to be honest, it's more fun to look at these films from kind of like, like a knowing, campy vibe to it, rather than trying to be so earnest about trying to be a B movie. Because to me, that seems like the worst thing is when you try to make that sort of, to manufacture that campy B movie vibe, in these like real big budget films like this. I don't know the official budget on this, but I imagine it's pretty big for, you know, using yeah, having that underwater search facility, all these special effects which look really cool, that scene at the beach which had like, you know, hundreds of extras on it. I gotta imagine it costs, you know, somewhere in like the skyscraper range there. To be fair though, you know, Statham is still kind of fun. He's mostly doing the same character he always does, you know, with kind of like the knowing smirk and, you know, I got my beer handy. He makes a whole segment out of just talking about how much he loves drinking beer, so there you go. Like Ruby Rose is pretty fun in it. Li Bingbing, she does pretty well in it. The kid is actually pretty fun. I mean, she's having quite a ball in this. And Rainn Wilson there as the eccentric billionaire. He gets in some decent lines, but again, there's so many missed opportunities here with like the shark attacks and the characters and camp value and stuff like that, that it just ends up being so mid-tier that unless you're really just looking for just mindless, forgettable entertainment, like you go watch it, you get some jump scares, you get some shark attacks here and there, and nothing more than that. You don't care about kills, you don't care about, you know, characters or stuff like that. You just want to see simple thrills with the most basic of popcorn entertainment. The film does its job. But I don't know, like I said, I feel like I've been spoiled on shark movies my entire life, that seeing something so, you know, just kind of like average, especially for this kind of budget and for, you know, what could have been like the breakout hit of the killer shark movie subgenre, which go look it up, you'll find all kinds of crazy shit. So I don't know, for the Meg, I think I rated it like 2 out of 5 stars. So there you go. If, like I said, if you want just simple the pleasure